see the mountain. We were in this mountain of CD signings and posters.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw on your Instagram. Yeah, quite a pile there. Yeah, it's
We're
cool y'all are
making our
doing
way
that.
through it.
Yeah. So exciting week you had. You had the album release on Friday and then the Riverboat show Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where
Awesome.
are you, by the way?
I'm in Austin.
Oh, I was gonna say
Yeah.
if you're nearby, come and take a
Yeah, yeah. I wish I could
sail
make
with
it.
us.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. This boat is insane. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. It looks
By the way,
awesome.
that's
Yeah.
all Corey's idea. I don't know. Sometimes I scratch my head and I wonder how did I get myself involved with these kinds of things? Who does a live stream on top of a houseboat
Yeah.
sailing? And
Yeah.
that alone, that's the epitome of our relationship.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I said it, Dave said, I don't know how this is gonna work, but absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
we're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm curious how that works. It sounds really cool. Cool. Well, great. Thanks again for doing this. But before I get into the questions about the golden hour, I think maybe some of our readers and maybe even some of your fans may not know the story about how the kind of collaboration came about. I'm sure you've told the story a lot before, but of course, Corey, you kind of actively sought out Dave and wanted the cause nod and be accepted by the smooth jazz community. So if you could, and then I understand your fans kind of pester Dave on social media. If you could maybe briefly kind of give us a little background of it for how it came to how it came together and how we got to where we are now with the album. So,
Yeah, so I was hip to Dave just because Dave's in the zeitgeist.
yeah.
Dave is just like around. He's known as one of the sax guys in the world, right? Like we just know who Dave Koz is.
Yeah.
And my friends and I were watching some videos and I found, oh my gosh, this guy has his own cruise. This smooth jazz sax player has his own cruise that sells out years in advance. There's got to be something cool going on with this cat. Like this guy has something cool happening. I want in on that. So like you said, I pestered Dave through my fans. On my live shows, I just said, all right, look, there's this guy I found who's got his own cruise. We're not smooth jazz, but I'm going to see if we could fool him via social media into thinking we're smooth jazz. So what I want you to do is we're going to play 32 bars of something that sounds like smooth jazz. You, the fans, everybody get it on your phones, tag Dave Koz, and he'll think that we're the biggest, hottest, newest young act in smooth jazz, and he'll have no choice but to hire us for his cruise. And as it turns out, it got Dave's attention. We had some mutual friends who said, no, Corey's not a psychopath. He's legit, and you guys would actually have a lot of fun together. And Dave said, all right, fine. Let's hang out. We hung out, met, we hit it off. He invited me on the cruise. We had a blast. And eventually he said, hey, I'm working on a couple projects for kind of my 30th anniversary of my first album. And one of the projects I want to be with mostly people that I've worked with in the past and, people that I'm familiar with, kind of making an album how I normally do. And that was A New Day, the one that he put out last year. And the other project that I want to do to celebrate my 30th anniversary of my first album is I want to do something new with people that I haven't really collaborated with before. So how about we do an album and you produce it and let me know what you think. So I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. But let's do it all live in the room. Because I love Dave's albums, but they hit in a different way than his live show. And Dave's live show has such an energy to it and such a life force that doesn't get captured in the same way on his albums. Dave comes to the table in a different way when he plays live, and is the production of his albums, they're different. They serve different purposes, of course, and they're both great independently. But I thought, how cool would it be to capture the Dave Koz live energy on an album? So I said, all right, we just got to do it live in the studio. And not every sax player can pull it off, but I knew that Dave could because we had done other sessions in a similar way, where it's just you set Dave up and you say go, and he can go. And he can deliver every time, every take. So I knew that this approach to the album was going to be a really fun way to capture something that his fans maybe haven't gotten from the studio album, and that my fans would love seeing the collaboration and seeing the worlds connect in a different way.
I will add that, to that, by the way, David, that even though it was a nefarious plan that seemed to work in the beginning, sort of masquerading as a smooth jazz artist, but not only with those the videos and all of his fans accosting me on social media, but I saw something there that was really amazing. And then when Cory and I met and we started to play together, and I popped up in a few of his shows, and then he invited me to do the same with the Wolfpack stuff, and I saw something really extremely powerful and exciting, which was instrumental music, largely instrumental music, that was appealing to 20-year-old people, to kids. And that's not something that I've been able to witness in my life in this country. I've seen it in other countries, specifically in Asia and Africa, but in this country, that's just the smooth jazz audience is an older audience. So here was a guitar player playing instrumental music for younger people. And so I was like, this phase of my life after doing this for so many years, I like to refer to myself as an infiltrator, just trying to tap into different worlds and learn from them. And so the Cory experience for me has been it's really been the biggest shot in the arm for me at this exact time when I needed something that was like a game changer for me. Because to continue to just do the same thing over and over, there's very little, if any, excitement in that for me moving forward. So this was a really wonderful opportunity that just came together. Like you were like a godsend that came out of nowhere. And at the beginning, I was like, who is this person? And why are they bothering me like this crazy amount? But in the end, it's been the biggest gift. And I really, really enjoyed it. I can't even tell you. And the experience of recording live in the studio, not just the record, but also we had video, like a 4-camera video shoot going at the same time. So not only are you having to make sure that you got everything down musically, but you're trying not to look like a total dork while you're doing it. So that was like a lot to think about. And I was terrified and excited at the same time, but I think we captured a magic. And that was, by the way, right after Labor Day of 2020. So that was in the midst of the heavy duty COVID. And we still went through, because originally we were supposed to do it a lot earlier in the year. And we kept pushing it off and pushing it off. And finally we said, let's just do this and mask up when we're not playing and do the best thing that we can. And we did, and we pushed through. And I think because of that, the recording has a vitality to it. Like everybody this was the first time that we've gotten to play together in months and months and months and months. Yeah. All the musicians, 10 musicians. So the record itself, I think, has this kind of energy that is different. If we recorded it now versus back then, I think it would have been a different sounding record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point. That's interesting. Thanks for that. I understand the songs came together pretty quickly. I was wondering, do you find either of you find you're able to maybe write faster or more creatively, or perhaps be more inspired when you have a collaborator, or are you generally both work pretty fast? I understand the songs came together quickly. So
let me say that because my writing technique is very different from Cory's, and as a collaborator, I love to collaborate. So there's never, I enjoy that process very, very much, no matter who it's with. And sometimes you get good results, and sometimes you go home at the end of the day with nothing, but at least you try. But the thing that I love about him is that he said at the beginning of the writing sessions, don't think about it. Like, just go with what your gut, just do it, and let's just write a bunch of shit and then not think about it. Let's just get it out of us, and then we'll evaluate it later and see whether there's anything good there. And that was the first time that I've ever done that, because usually my mind, I bring my head into it a lot while I'm writing, and so I might say or do something and say, no, that's not good, let's move on, or something like that. But he really brought out a different side of me in those writing sessions, to just not judge anything before it was the time to judge it, which was way later. It was very freeing, actually.
Yeah. Well, and to me, that process, it sounds like, oh, we're just using our instincts. and just kind of going free with it, and it goes really fast, which of course, yes, it does. And I wanted to go with trusting our instincts and each other's instincts on things. But also along the way, there was a lot of filtering processes that don't necessarily get accounted for or don't get talked about. Number one being, we knew we were going into a writing session, and we knew we both had ideas in our phones as voice memos or videos of just like song ideas or melody ideas. And we both go through our days, and those ideas always come, and we choose sometimes which ones we think are sticky, and we make voice memos of those. That's filter number one. Filter number two is we listen back to all those things, and we delete the ones that don't hold up after a couple months of sitting on our phone. That's another filter. Then, okay, we're going to get together and do a writing session. Let's write 10 tunes this week, or let's write 7 tunes or whatever. Send me 15, 20 ideas, and I'll send you 15, 20 ideas. And then we'll see what we like of each other's. So then there's another filter process of, oh, is this good enough to send to somebody else as just an idea? And then, okay, so that's filter number 3. And then the next filter is, Dave has sent me his 20 ideas, and I get to say, ooh, I love these 5. Let's work on these 5. And then that goes through that. And he says, ooh, I love these 5 of yours. Let's work on these. Okay, that's another filtration process. So we take those ideas, and then we sit down and we get our instruments out. We start demoing things up, and we'll start with an idea of mine, and then Dave says, ooh, I hear it going here. Okay, cool. I hear it going here also. And then we could go here with it, and then we go here with it. Ooh, well, what if we tried this, 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 this? And we lay it all out, and we listen back. Oh, the flow is nice, but what if we tried this in here? Or what if we move this around, or add a couple bars of simmer in this section? So there is, even though we're relying on our instincts the whole way in the session, there was actually a lot of filtration going into that, knowing, okay, these are some ideas that feel magnetic to each other and that feel like they would represent myself and Dave as an artist for a collaborative project. And then along the way of the producing and the arranging and the whole way, even rehearsing the tunes, you know what? This now that we're all playing it in the room together, let's try this. So we're using our instincts along the way and not taking too much time to overthink things, but trusting each other's judgment on. There was a couple things where Dave was like, I really think it needs to go this place. And I was like, really?
I'll give you a good example of that too. This morning, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
But this morning I was listening because Cory at the last minute says, let's take one song that is one of his songs that I played on one of his albums. He said, let's just do you mind if I swap it out for another song called Meditation? So I said, great. And I'd heard the song before, but this morning I was getting ready to come over here, and I was listening to it while I was getting ready. And I was like, it really was like a light bulb that went off, because his writing is very economical. And I mean that in the highest regard, because that song is really one phrase, and it's one great phrase, but it starts out and it develops and it ebbs and it flows. But it's a very satisfying feeling at the end of the song, because it's really like one idea. Like it's one concept. I'm not really able to put this into the right words.
Well, to me, I think of it as a mantra.
Yeah.
It's like a mantra. The tune is meditation, and it is one phrase. And the way you can play one phrase and alter it musically through dynamics, through touch, through arrangement, through so many different things, intensity levels.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, there's 1,000 ways to say one phrase. There's 10,000 ways to play one musical phrase with 10 people. So sometimes it's just trusting the concept of something also with that particular tune.
You have to have so much confidence to be able to do that, though. It's like my writing style is, I don't want to. Are you enjoying the song? You enjoying this? Okay, great. We got this next section for you now. So in case you're bored, here's the next section. 8 bars later. Oh, you're bored already? There's another section. It's like this overcompensation of like trying to always over deliver on people. And there is like it can go the wrong way
Sure.
very easily. So I love the meeting of the minds, like where we come from very different places and very different experiences, and I'm a lot older than he is. But the fact that we can learn from each other and help each other grow has been really the away from the actual releasing of music and stuff like that. That's on a personal level. That's the part that's been very satisfying for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I got to hear the whole record. I really enjoyed it. And Getaway Car, which is of course one of the singles, was one of the standouts to me. Kind of a driving funk song, kind of recalled like Tower of Power or Earth, Wind and Fire to my ears. I imagine that's a really fun one to play live. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about that particular song and how it came together.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, Dave, this was one of Dave's voice memos, and he said, I love that stuff you guys do with the Fearless Flyers. I have this riff that feels like this Fearless Flyers sort of thing that like could be a song that you guys would do. And I thought, oh, okay. Well, let's just develop and let's see if it were that sort of song. Let's just keep working it out. And it was that don't bump bump dun da 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 da. It was that idea, and it was just that riff. And I thought, okay, well, let's on the fourth phrase do a little walk down and go from D minor to B minor 7 flat 5. And then we both were like, oh, it needs a bridge. Let's go to G minor and let's add some other interesting chord changes. Maybe a happier bridge, go to the B flat. But then he also said, oh, I hear this melody over it. And then he started playing the melody, and I was thinking, oh, that melody is cool as a sax thing, but what if it all of a sudden became something that was a whole horn section, almost kind of like funk big band in a way. So, we would just throw ideas back and forth at each other. And,
Do you remember that song? Because we wrote all this music in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, which is where Cory lives, and I'm from Los Angeles. But I came here, actually at this house. No, we wrote at the studio.
Yeah.
Which was not far away from here. But I remember because we were talking about Madhouse. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes.
Madhouse is this song. Was saxophone player
Eric Leeds.
Eric Leeds. And this is a Prince protege, and I think maybe Prince produced that, right?
Yeah.
And this is a long time ago, and I always loved this track. It was funky as hell, but it basically was the same thing. It was just like a great bass line and a real simple but super funky saxophone melody. So I've said, can't we do, and I think I was inspired by the Minnesota vibe, you know, like the funk, this
the
town,
Minneapolis funk thing.
The Minneapolis thing is very palpable. So like when you're here, that's what you want to do. So I said, we got to come up with a Madhouse thing. And they were like, Madhouse? Oh, And we were with Michael Nelson, who's an incredible horn arranger, worked with Prince for forever. So that was kind of like I remember that was at least the impetus for that song.
Yeah.
And then it took a completely different direction, but that was where it came from, I think.
Yeah.
Great. Dave, you talked about how like you kind of needed this collaboration at this stage in your career, and Cory kind of pushed you, challenged you musically. But Cory, I was kind of interested in what you learned from Dave and perhaps how working with him influenced you musically.
Well, obviously that side of it is so huge for me because, like I said, when I first got hip to Dave in a deep way, it was like, this guy's had a cruise for years. This guy's had a 30-year-long career doing this, and he's still crushing it. And he still plays amazing. He looks great. Just look at him.
Hey,
and he's got such a dedicated fan base and everything. That was inspiring to me to see. Okay, it's one thing to do this for like 5 years, a few years. Like I've basically been touring for 4 years or something, and that's fun. And things have been growing the whole time and it's been awesome. But I also know that I can't expect to know everything, and I can't expect to have all the wisdom without all the experience. And to have a friend and collaborator in Dave who has the wisdom, has the experience on all sides of the industry, being a label artist, being an independent artist, being a touring artist, being somebody who puts out albums and, has a team of people that he works with for things. It's been really fun for me to to just see some of that, how Dave works on the professional side, on the personal side, and just what things is he paying attention to that others might not be? What things is he really leaning into that other artists maybe haven't leaned into? And, just hanging out with Dave, I'm learning a lot about, how to have a long lasting career. And I think that's really one of the fun things that I've gotten out of such a deep collaboration that you don't get as much from just, hey, let's do a song together. Like, let's hang out one day and, we'll grab lunch, we'll play the tune and peace out, see you in the email thread.
Yeah.
But this is, something where, honestly, to me, I think it's important for any artist, or I think any person in general, but specifically for artists and musicians, to have people that are three types of relationships. One, people that can be mentors or pour wisdom and experience into your life. Second relationship, having peers around you that are doing the same thing that you can talk to. And then three, having people that you can mentor and people that you can pour some of your experience into. And to me, those three types of relationships have been really important in my life and in my career. And to have Dave as one of those people who's been able to help that thing, it's been incredible.
That's very sweet, Cory. Thank you. And I'll say to add to that is that this is not always the case, but and I'm trying to remember how I felt when I was your age about my mentors and whether they really showed up, and whether I really wanted to work with them and stuff like that. And I think I did, but that's not necessarily a given. Like, there's a lot of young musicians nowadays that are not really interested in working or even listening to people like me or my generation. They just feel like I know what I'm doing. And we live in a very sort of, our music business is really kind of pockets. It's like the city of Los Angeles, where if you live in Westwood, you stay in Westwood. You never go downtown. If you live in downtown, you never go to the valley. It's very segregated, really. It's like you have your own little area, and you're kind of like this, and you put stuff out on your own channel, and there's very little of like looking beyond and seeing what else is out there. And I love the fact that at least you and the people that you surround yourself with are people that are really interested in learning and hanging out with people of my generation.
Yeah.
Like, he just did I don't know what you were doing, maybe writing or songwriting or doing something in collaboration with Larry Carlton.
A recording thing. Yeah, we recorded a song together.
Now, I'm sure as a guitar player, I mean, he's
Absolute
the
dream.
god of gods, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'd be interested in enough to reach out to him.
Yeah.
But it says a lot about you, and it also says a lot about Larry that said, let's do it. Let's get together. So I think this generational pull, this gravitational thing that's happening now with that generation of musicians and our generation of musicians and even people that are older than me, I think that's really great. It's very healthy.
Yeah.
Dave, of course, as you said, this is a good bit different from your past work. I was kind of curious how your fans would receive it. I mean, judging by the social media comments, looks like a lot of fans really have enjoyed the two singles. I was wondering, were you concerned if whether your longtime fans would be on board with it? Does that enter your thinking at all? Or
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned.
yeah.
But I'm at a certain point, David, in my career where it's like I can't keep doing just
Right.
straight down the highway there. And I think I will go on record and say that I've thrown a lot of curveballs to my fans over the years, and they've stuck with me. I mean, this is a core group of people that really enjoy the music and enjoy the journey of finding out what else is there. And if I feel like I need to scratch a creative itch, they're like, okay, go ahead and scratch it. We'll be there for you. We may not love it per se, but we'll at least be there for you and give it a chance. And that's all I ask, is for people to give it a listen and give it a try. If they don't love it, that's fine. I will go back to making other records. But I think because it's so alive, and to Cory's point before about live shows, there's an energy that happens, not just me, but smooth jazz artists. When you see them live, it's different from the records.
Yeah.
And I've never made a record that has that energy. And, we tour every year, a lot of dates every year. People come, thank God. And so this is giving those people finally a chance to hear something and to see something, because it's audio and visual, that is really more a reflection of that energy that happens at a live show. So I'm proud of it. I love this album. I absolutely love it. And I think if I love it, hopefully most will love it too.
Yeah,
for sure.
And to that point, my interpretation as a Dave Koz fan myself, I thought, number one, it would kind of be a shame if Dave never released an album that feels like his live show. There's so many albums that feel very similar. What a shame if he had never released anything that feels like his live show. But the other thing I really noticed, the thing that I learned on the Dave Koz cruise when we were playing there, is his fans love music. And his fans love good music. They are in. They're down to just hear good music. And it's interesting because it's not just exclusive to Dave's fans. It's a lot of, not just smooth jazz fans, but jazz in general, jazz as a whole. And, jam band music. Like, a lot of my fan base is jam band fans, and they love just hearing musical exploration and interesting musical things. And I knew that the diehard Koz fans had probably seen his show and enjoyed his live show. This will give them a reminder of that. But also, let's just commit to making really awesome music. And that also will just kind of speak for itself. And the fact that it's Dave's voice on the saxophone, like, how cool is that? People, like, I think about when I was younger, one of my favorite bands was Nirvana. And I loved the energy of Nirvana, and there was so much angst, and there was so much of myself that I connected to in the music, finding who I am through playing this energetic music. And then when they did Unplugged in New York, the MTV Unplugged Nirvana thing, yeah, it didn't have that thing, but it also was just, it was the band, and it was the sound of Kurt's voice and the sound of the band and the songs. I loved it just as much as everything else that Nirvana put out, to my surprise. And I think there might be a similar thing here where, it's Dave's voice just in a little bit of a different setting, but at the same time, very familiar.
Yeah, great. I just had a couple more. Dave, there's a new version of Together Again on this record, which I guess that's probably your best known composition. This new version is a lot different. I was wondering if you want to talk some about revisiting that tune and your approach to reworking it.
Yeah, that was not my idea.
Okay.
But I'll tell you how it happened. This was at a Cory Wong, I think that was the Bowery Ballroom, right?
Yes.
So I happened to be in New York at the time, and he said, come on down and play a song. So I did, and we had some fun. And so I'm leaving the stage after my song, and Cory says on the microphone, don't go. Don't go. And I'm like, I'm done with my song. What else is there to do? And he said,
at my live show, I'm surprising Dave on stage.
We have a surprise for you. And it launches into, with the band, the exact version, my live version of Together Again. And I freaked out because he was expecting to play, for me to play it, but I had the alto saxophone because the song that I was playing on one of his songs was an alto song. I didn't have the soprano, which is the instrument that I used on that song. So I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to play this song on alto? And they've memorized the arrangement, including the drum sax trade. But an amazing drummer named Pitar had memorized that whole thing, and it surprised the hell out of me, and it delighted me to no end. And I somehow managed to get through the song on alto sax. It was not pretty, but it always stuck with me that was the song that connected us in the first place, because when he first found out about me, it was a live version of that song that he and Pitar, the drummer, found on the internet. And so I thought, well, it would be in a perfect world, it'd be really great if we did a new arrangement of this and had a big horn section on this, and to kind of take that song, which was the genesis of our entire relationship, and bring the song into present day. So that's why we did it. And when I listen to that version of it, I'm extremely proud of it because it's got a whole new energy. And that song, which I played so many times in my life, and I, like most artists, you play your hits, you have to play your hits, but you get tired, and you want to be able to do new wrinkles with the music. This is like the perfect new wrinkle at just the right time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, lastly, I thought it was cool how you are doing the signed and personalized CDs at 360 degree sound. The music side of right before we're fans of the format, and it's kind of been in decline, of course, for a long time, but I still think it can deliver great sound. And now is actually a great time to buy because they're so cheap. You can get a stack for $1 each at the thrift store, but really good titles. But Dave, I know a lot of contemporary jazz artists still release music on CD. It seems like even though vinyl has been resurging, it seems like there's still a lot of contemporary jazz artists that don't really release on vinyl as much. I was just wondering, and both of y'all could weigh in, just kind of your take on the CD in 2021, and kind of how it fits into what you do, and whether you think there'll be continue to be, I guess, a niche market for it. So.
I'm going to let Cory answer that question first, but I will say that when I said we should make CDs, he looked at me and it might as well have said that we should make cassettes or something.
Yeah.
He thought, what the hell? Are you serious? I mean, this is not a joke. You're not joking here?
Well, my fan base does not typically buy CDs, but I do get people asking me about it a fair amount.
Yeah.
And for me, I drive a 2007 Toyota Sienna. I'm down with the CD. Okay, I like the CD. I got a 6-disc changer in that sucker, and I'm high tech.
State of the art.
Yeah. So I'm down with the CD. I thought, you know what? Yeah, let's lean into it. Let's do a CD. Dave does CDs. That's what he normally does with his band. That's what his fans are used to, and I think it's fun for me to mix it up for my fans to offer a CD, because honestly, I haven't sold CDs.
Do you even have any CD?
No.
Your music has not been printed on a CD.
I think we did like a run of 100 or a couple hundred of one once when I was going on tour, because I don't remember where we were going, but a lot of people were asking about CDs, and they're easy to bring on. They're easier to bring on tour than vinyl.
Yeah.
Much easier to fly with, that's for sure.
The other thing I should say too is that I come from an era of music. How old are you, David?
I'm 36.
Yeah, so you guys are around the same age. But my era and the era before me, like I remember going to the record store and buying an album. This was vinyl, and coming back and holding it and listening to it and having to get up, at the end of side one and turning it over. But I like the idea, the feeling of having it in my hands while I'm listening to it. And that's never going to get old for me. I know that, we've seen the CD market shrink so radically. And even with my fans who have been very supportive of that format, still it's the numbers have gone way, way down. But I still think for that fan who likes the feeling, the tactile feeling of holding music in your hands and looking at it while you're listening to it, that's kind of where I think that's the inspiration behind at least giving those people an option to have it.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks. That's about all I had. Is there anything you would like to add about the album or the upcoming live stream?
If you want to come over to Cory's house and help us sign CDs today,
Forge your signature.
his son, his 1.5-year-old son, is actually doing it.
No, he signed one, but it didn't work.
That's funny. Great. Well, thanks so much. Best of luck on the album release and the live stream. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Take care. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.